The most powerful success mindset, it's not what you think. It's not being resourceful. It's not taking fast and perfect action. It's not being willing to ask for support. It's failure. It's being willing to fail over and over again on the path to success. Now, in case you don't believe me, many of the greatest minds in history shared similar advice. Listen to Winston Churchill, who famously said, "Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm." And then there's Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, who said, "I have not failed 1,000 times. I've not failed once. I've succeeded in proving that those 10,000 ways will not work. And when I've eliminated the ways that will not work, I'll find the ways that will work." And then there's Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, who tells the famous story of a prospector giving up just 3 feet away from the goal. So my name is Marisa Murgatroyd, and I like to say that I turn everyday online entrepreneurs into online superheroes so they can change the world from their living rooms. And the very, very first step to superhero status is embracing failure. And that's something I learned big time with our very first software company. I mean, we made all the mistakes. I've made $100,000 mistakes in my life, but this was a multi-million-dollar mistake. We hired the wrong people. We didn't take advice from our customers. We built something before we tested and validated the idea. We invested $2 million of our own money. Before we knew that there was going to be real return on investment, we spent all our time and effort developing the product and none of our time and effort marketing and selling. The end result is that right now, this software is making about $3,000 a month after we spent $2 million in this software. But what we learned from that failure, that colossal, almost life-ruining failure it would seem, is how to create a software and how to not create a software. So the very next software project we took on, Experientify, which is the world's first fully gamified membership site software, it's been a completely different story from day one. Within 5 months of starting this project, we were already making $30,000 a month versus 5 years making $3,000 a month because we learned all those lessons, because we took that 5-year failure and we mined all the lessons from that failure and we applied them to our next company, which is now seeing a huge amount of growth. Now, you may be saying, "Marisa, easy for you to say, I don't think I could withstand failing for 5 years before seeing my success." But so many of the biggest, greatest inventions in history came about after failing for years on end, after that obsessive pursuit of an idea, of a project, of a goal, like Edison's famous light bulb project. So how do you know that you're not giving up 3 feet away from the goal? But I know it's easy for me to say, but really when you're in the face of it, when you're in the face of these failures on an everyday basis, how do you actually cope with those failures? So I wanted to give you a few tips if you're not experiencing the kind of validation that you'd like to right out of the gate with your business, with your product, with your idea. Because the truth is that most people don't. And it's developing that resilience of getting used to things not going the way that you expect that's going to allow you to truly succeed. Because a lot of times, the perception of failure, the story that you tell about failure, is really more important than what actually happens. And we give up when things don't go according to our expectations. But if we start to expect that we're going to fail and we go into business and entrepreneurship with the expectation of failure, it starts to change the game. Because here's the thing, something like 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. Now, I'm not saying that with the expectation that you're going to fail, but if you go in thinking that your first 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 ideas may or may not work, you get a little bit less precious about what it is that you're doing. So the very first tip that I tell my students is to imagine that you are the scientist in the experiment lab of your business. And so every single thing that you're doing, they're simply experiments. You experiment with no attachment to the outcome. And you simply look and see, did this work? Yes or no? Let me try something different. Did this work? Yes or no? Oh, let me try something different. And you keep doing that. You keep iterating your way to awesome. And simply getting into that iterate your way to awesome loop takes you out of the stuck cycle, which most entrepreneurs get into, where they've got an idea and they proceed to overanalyze that idea, which gets them stuck into procrastination. So they never really take action and they don't make forward progress because they want to get it right from the start. They want that guarantee of success. So there is no guarantee of success in entrepreneurship. There's only a guarantee of failure. And when you're hanging with that failure, you can come out the other side and see incredible success. So you want to be that scientist in the experiment lab of your business. Now, that's not to say there aren't some proven systems and processes and ideas that are going to help you get started on the right foot. And I have put together a free master class to help you with that. So let me share that with you before I go into tips number 2 and tip number 3. So I've got a master class called Discover the Business You're Meant to Build and How to Share It with the World, which is the 7 things that you must have to identify your most profitable and fulfilling dream business. So tip number 2 is to really think that there is no such thing as failure, only feedback, and embrace the failures for the information and the clues and the lessons that it gives you. Because the truth is, very few people are instant overnight successes. It just looks like that from the outside when you see them, but you haven't seen the 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years of work that's happened to get to that point in time. It's like the famous story of the plumber who goes in and fixes a sink within a minute and then says the bill's $100. And the woman's like, $100? You're going to charge me $100 for a minute of your time? And he said, no, you're not paying me for the minute of my time. You're paying me for the 10 years that it took to know exactly what to do. So it only takes a minute of my time. So there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. So when you embrace the belief that there is no such thing as failure, only feedback, it's going to help you just take those mistakes and those setbacks and those challenges in stride and realize that it's all part of the journey. Because here's the thing, you are not your business. So when your business fails, it doesn't mean you fail. Because what you need as a human being, you need water, you need air, you need oxygen, you need love. Now, what a business needs is very different. A business needs products, it needs marketing, it needs money. So start creating these things for your business and realize that the failures of your business are not the same thing as the failures that you have personally. So that's tip number 2. Really embrace this idea that there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. And actively seek feedback to help you make your idea better and better and better. Because the truth is you can't know what's going to work until you get that feedback. No plan survives contact with the enemy. Until you put your idea out there in the market and get that feedback, you won't know what's working and what's not working. So embrace that. And that's the only way to truly know, is to take your idea out to the world and then see what happens. And be willing to let that idea, quote unquote, fail. And to be honest, a little bit of healthy criticism, productive feedback is not failure. It's just one step on the iterate your way to awesome loop. And tip number 3 is to celebrate your failures. Celebrate every single rejection, because that means you had the courage to ask. Celebrate every project gone wrong, every experiment that led to results that were not anticipated, because that means that you learned one more way not to build a light bulb. And all of those failures, when you start to celebrate them, you realize that these are normal. They're a part of the path. They're something to look forward to, because every failure teaches you something valuable and important. And with all of those failures, you get more and more on path and more on track. So in my mentorship program, we actually have an award. We call it the Fail Forward Award. And I give people these monkey ears. Whoever has the greatest story of failure or setback or not winning or whatever it happens to be, they get this monkey ear award, and they get to kind of wear the monkey ears as a symbol of pride of the risks that they took and their willingness to fail forward on their path to success. Because remember, the most powerful success mindset is actually failure. Being willing to fail, celebrating failure, learning from failure, taking failure as feedback, a badge of honor, a mark of pride, knowing that you took risks the vast majority of people weren't willing to take. Because the interesting thing about our human nature is that we feel most comfortable when we're safe and secure in our comfort zone. But we feel most alive when we're risking forward, doing things we've never done before, seeking the holy grail that can change our lives and even change the world. So how do you balance this desire for success with the reality of failure? You just realize that success and failure are two sides of the very same coin. And when you embrace failure, you embrace success. When you celebrate failure, you celebrate success. When you accept the failures in your life, you pave the way to your success because you're not giving up. You're getting back on that horse, back in the saddle, and riding again another day. Now, the truth is, when I had that extended 5-year-long failure, it kind of felt like the death of 1,000 cuts. It was painful. And there were times where I did not want to do another software project again. So it took a lot of courage to get back in the saddle and try again. And the truth is, no matter how big or how small your failure, you can choose to take yourself out of the game at any point in time. You can choose to say, no, I've got enough. Or you know what? I'm going to keep trying. That choice is yours. So if you start to tell yourself a new story, that failure is feedback, and you realize that no matter what happens, you're going to get back in the game. You're not going to take yourself out of the game. You're not going to put yourself on the bench. Then the sky is the limit. So congratulations for watching this video. Congratulations for being willing to face the fear of failure, because this is one of the biggest fears that people have that stop them from becoming a successful entrepreneur. And I don't want anything to stop you. So I've created a few more videos over here that you might want to check out to keep going. One of them is about leveling up your life, which is how to win big in both life and business, and really how to gamify your life to make this process of winning and losing, succeeding and failing a whole lot of fun. And the other is about, should you quit your job and become an entrepreneur? Because that's a question so many people ask. Should you, shouldn't you, to be or not to be? And you can stay in that paralysis of analysis for years on end and never really make the leap. And I want you to make the leap if this is your path, because what are you waiting for? The world is waiting for you to live your message. So go ahead, keep watching, keep learning, but most of all, start taking action. Watch my masterclass, subscribe to this channel, keep watching these training videos, but most of all, put them to use. Implement, make it happen, iterate your way to awesome, because you truly are awesome.